You still there, Donnie? Okay. I'll do the intro and then we'll be on. Yeah, I do. Let me message that to you real fast. Oh yeah, yeah, I'll message it to you on Discord. So. Alright, I send it to you. Thank you. The logo? Yeah. Alright, let me make the intro. So. Alright. And good evening, folks, and welcome to tonight's Thursday edition of the Whitfield Report. I'm your host, Sam Whitfield, broadcasting live here from South Florida, here at NGC Studios. And tonight we have a very special guest for you, fine ladies and gentlemen. But before we make the introductions, contact info as usual. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at SamW_NGC, hashtag Whitfield Report. You can also follow me on Gab and Parler at Sam Whitfield, Facebook.com/Whitfield Report. TheSamWhitfield.com is my website, and of course, subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts or wherever else you get your podcasts. My guest this evening is someone you might have heard on the second hour of the Whitfield Report Saturday show. But I've wanted to talk to her one-on-one for a while because I think that she is a very talented individual and has a lot of promise in the, new conservative media movement. So, folks, welcome my guest, Doni the Don, or that's what she goes by on Twitter. So I'm sticking to it. How are you doing? How are you doing, Doni?
I'm doing great. How are you doing today?
I'm
Is
doing.
it hot?
I'm doing well. It is hot. It's 91, here in Florida, and I know that you're from a warm climate too, so I have no place to complain. But anyway, so we're not real formal around here, but I guess first off, just tell us a little bit about yourself. I am curious. Did your parents come up with the name Doni, or is that a nickname, or how?
It's my nickname.
Oh, okay.
So my name, my mom was actually in high school when she had me, and she was in a French class. And my name is Donier, and it's spelled D as in dog, Onyya, and there's an accent on the A. But people call me Donya when they see it, so we just go by Doni. It was so much easier.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I I can understand that. Well, that's it's a cool way you spell your name, and I really like it. So, like I said, we're not real formal around here, so let's just jump into it. Um, I guess you've been on Versa Media and the kind of multi-stream that we've done for the last few weeks, but surprisingly, you actually have a pretty big Twitter following for someone who is at least to me it appears relatively new to the political game. So how long have you been involved in politics or media or whatever you want to call this venture, and what inspired you to get started?
Okay. So Twitter. I started Twitter back in December, December. And I came to Twitter because on my Facebook and IG, it was coworkers, family members on there, and they all had their opinions. And every time I said something, they would go berserk. And I was just like, I'm just going to go ahead and just quietly leave the Facebook. I'm still there, kind of. It's a long story, but I kind of like just don't post on them anymore. And I'm always on Twitter. So basically, when I got on Twitter, I was just there to meet like-minded people on there, and then not have to say anything with a filter about what I really want to say. And so from there, it just blew up, and I had like no intentions of it going to this extent or this point. But it's really cool, and I'm happy to have my voice out there and people can hear it. And then there's people who actually were like Bernie Bros and Yang people who were following me, and they have seen some stuff. So I'm not for sure how all of them feel, but I feel like some of them are open-minded to what I have to say on my page.
That's very interesting, Donnie. So I mean, I guess going back a little farther, how'd you how would you say you identify politically, and like how did you become politically aware? I guess let's
So I've,
go back there.
okay, so I've never identified as being a liberal or Democrat. Everyone who I've ever looked up to had been conservative or they were libertarian. Um, and I felt before I was more libertarian, but definition wise, but when it comes to the people that I have met, and some of them, I think some of them think this it's a liberal platform or party, and I feel better with the conservatives. Our values do line up. I do still believe in um, the less government, the better. I don't want to give my money to the government. I don't feel like they should be getting a free commission off my paychecks. And I think since I started working since I was 16, that was a big issue for me because the first time I got a paper check, I look at it and I'm like, why are they taking so much of my money? I could have had all this money and the government took out this much out of it. So I think that's every time. I think the big thing was the money. I never wanted to ever like someone who wanted to make my taxes higher.
So so that's kind of how you got introduced to conservatism then, just kind of that by the hard by the government coming in and snatching your money then.
Yeah, back when I was 16, I wasn't even thinking, conservative or liberal or anything like that, obviously. Like, I was 16, but so when I was in government class, we had a test. You take the test, answer questions like a personality test, right? Kind of like that. And you would get a score, a percentage on how much of a percentage you're a liberal or was just Democrat in the test, and how was a percentage of being a Republican. So we're all sitting in class, we get our little test back, and everyone's looking around telling each other the results. Because, we're not we're in high school, we're not really too worried about it, right? I'm sort of looking at mine, and it was like over 80% Republican. And and it wasn't necessarily I was confused, it was more so I want to look into this more because I've heard that, I'm supposed to be this, but all this happened around the same time too, the paycheck and everything in the government class. So I'm like, people are like, hey, what did you get? I was like, yeah, I'll look into it. I'm not telling you right now. I'm looking into it.
Really?
And then
So
I looked into it and I'm like, yeah, this makes sense. I read the Bible at a really young age, like the whole thing. I had a common with Bible. So I think a lot of that comes from that too, how I was raised.
really, you're one of those people who actually discovered their political identity through one of those political, uh, you know, personality quizzes. Then that's interesting. So
Yeah, it didn't define it for me like, oh, this is okay, this test is what I am. It was more so like, oh, let me figure out why, and I figured out why from there, and I'm like, that makes sense. So I've always Ron Paul he was a libertarian, but he was one of my heroes. He's one of my favorite. and his son, oh, I love his son too. Those people, those are my top people. Like Ted Cruz. I liked Rick Perry. I've never had oh, this is a Democrat I like. I never had that.
really,
Hmm.
I mean, so I mean, you're also I mean, I don't want to dox you or anything, but you're obviously at least from what I can tell, you're from a very conservative part of the country too. Do you think that has anything to do with how you were influenced? So
Well, I'm born and raised. I was born and raised in Indiana, another red state, and I grew up in the country. I think that's a big reason why. I didn't grow up I mean, I was in the city temporarily as a kid, but most of my time growing up, I grew up in the countries, out in the boondocks, county roads, cornfields, bean fields. I could smell a pig farm. So I think that's another reason I grew up with my parents having guns. My dad hunted. He brought home deer. We ate it. My dad always focus on us being the best we can be, work hard. We're in sports, very competitive. And I had a job early and I like money. Like I was a kid, I used to draw pictures and I used to sell them at the bowling alley, like $15, $20. I was in elementary. People were buying them. And I didn't realize they were drunk. Okay. But I was an entrepreneur as a kid. I used to bake brownies and cookies and have a lemonade stand. I was always about trying to get more money. So I have always liked capitalism. And when I was growing up, it wasn't taught to me as if it was bad. I am 32, by the way. I'm not like, super older or anything. I am 32.
Oh wow, you're 32. I thought you were way younger than that for some reason. So,
Yeah, I get that a lot in person too.
well, I mean, I mean that in the most complimentary way. So,
Thanks, I appreciate it.
so okay, so you get on Twitter and then you kind of just decide to try out as a goof, more or less, right? And then it becomes a a thing for you. I guess is the best way of putting it. Correct?
I just came on Twitter. I wanted to be able to link up with people like, you guys, other conservatives, other people who don't hate Trump. And I was so frustrated on Facebook. All I kept seeing in my timeline every day. I had people like every day who hated him and said crap about him every single day. And I wanted to be like, don't you have something else to worry about? Like, why are you like going against the president every single day? And then there are people saying they hate conservatives on there, and they hate Republicans on there, but you don't even know which one of your friends are conservatives or Republicans. I was so tired of seeing it. So I went to Twitter, and I didn't tell anybody I was going to Twitter. No friends, no family. At first, I didn't tell anyone I was on there. And I only recently told my dad, I think last month, about it, because it's growing so fast that I prefer my parents to hear it from me than, everywhere else.
Right, right. Yeah, that sounds good. Well, I mean, it's interesting that you go from Facebook to Twitter because I mean, Facebook in
Okay.
terms of politics is a dumpster fire, but I mean, I'm sure you've heard conservatives complain about Twitter as well, and just people in general
Oh, most certainly.
complain about Twitter. So, you
I
know,
have an explanation for you.
yeah, I know people are curious about that because I certainly am. So,
So let's think. What was going on during December? The
uh,
impeachment.
oh yeah, the impeachment. I'm like, there's so much that has happened. So, um,
So I'm on Instagram and I'm seeing these different posts because I'm following all this stuff on Instagram, right? And I'm like, all these people are posting stuff from Twitter and it seems like real time. And then I'm like, and I see Trump stuff from there. I'm like, I want to go and see real time because then like I'm seeing people tweeting during the impeachment stuff. Like this is like early news, like right on the money, like all in one spot. All this news is lined up, and like I can scroll or click on what's trending that day, and
yeah,
click on it. Yeah. So it's way different than Instagram and Facebook. Yes, I know. I've been, I'm quite sure I'm being censored on Twitter because there's no way in the world this month I've had over 4 million impressions and only have 17,000 followers. That doesn't make sense.
yeah. That's that's interesting. And for me, it's like I have like 1,000 followers, and yet my tweets are only making like 500 impressions too. So, um, yeah. I mean, I was.
I'm sorry, I didn't finish your question.
Oh yeah,
So
go
the
ahead.
impeachment's going on, and I wanted to see it live, so I went there also for those reasons as well. That was a big push too. And then I also came to Twitter because of obviously Donald Trump. I don't, all these other years I never got on Twitter or had the desire to go on Twitter until Trump was on there. And they need to write Trump a check and stop being mean to him because he brought a lot of people to Twitter.
yeah, I mean, that's the ironic thing, right? Is, um, for all the hate that, Trump gets on Twitter, like, he's basically kind of in a way saved their platform. It seems like, by making them, relevant again.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
Now, what's what's interesting to me is that you have gone on Twitter at a time when many conservatives feel like they should leave Twitter because of the censorship. So, are you afraid of getting kicked off of getting kicked off the platform? And if so, do you have any ideas to, like, start a backup account, start, like, you know maybe maybe an account on, like, an alternative social media
Yeah.
website, or what?
Yeah. I have, what is it called? Parlor. I have one of those accounts. I'm not very active on it, but I
Yeah,
have one.
same and
But it's not
same.
really my backup. I think what I initially I was worried about that. Initially, I was worried that I would get kicked off Twitter and you know, I would have to start over, or go somewhere else, or both. And then I started thinking about this. I was just like, well, the reason why I am where I am at now, I think it's because God is using me. And I think that if He wants me to stay there and that's what He wants me to do, then I'll be okay on Twitter, regardless if they think they're Twitter gods. Um, He'll figure it out Himself. Because I feel like um, they probably would have kicked me off a while ago. I mean, I've been on Twitter jail like a few times already. It's 4 times. Um, and been on restrictions for 3 days since December. I've been on there 4 times, and I am just I'm not really too worried about it. And I also have screen recorded and screenshot a lot of stuff. Initially, that's just what I did. It wasn't really an intent behind it. Now I'm looking at back now, and I'm like, I'm so happy that I have screenshot and screen recorded all this stuff. So when I do take it down, if I need to take him to court or something, because this account has a lot of potential, then I could. I've screen recorded people who said they want to buy stuff from here, asked me to make merch. I've people who want me to do the YouTube channel. um, I've screen recorded and screenshot anyone like big, who's following me or has retweeted or liked my stuff. So like that's like more evidence than built up. So, and like I said, that was God right there. I didn't even think about, oh, let me go on Twitter because I didn't ever have that intention. But luckily I already have all that information saved. And luckily I have the Galaxy Note, what is it, the 10 plus with all the space in it. I have so much information in my phone and there's so much space left.
That's neat. And I'll forgive you for being, for being an Android person. We're all in on Apple, here at the Whitfield Report, even though I'm sure, a portion of my audience thinks Apple sucks too. But, hey, we use what we use, right? Um,
Yeah. Are you younger than me? Because I feel like a lot of younger people are really, I feel like a lot of younger people are really into Apple.
well, yeah, well, yes. I mean, I'm 25, but my mom has, well, both my parents actually have been in the computer industry, like, all of their lives, basically. So I've used both, Macs and PCs, for years. And for more of, like, the creative, media type stuff that I want to do, I find that, Macs work better. And, but I'm not really into the whole big, Mac versus PC, pissing match that people got into, 15 years ago. I'm kind of like, whatever works for you, works for you. So, but
Yeah, you know what too? Like there are people my age too. There's a lot my age with Apples. But like, I think too, like a lot of older people have apples because I guess it's easy to use. I heard.
Yeah,
I started using it, and I don't think it's easy. I guess because I'm just used to Android.
yeah. I mean, I suppose it's a factor of once you get used to something. And kind of speaking of that, it's interesting that you're not really on Facebook anymore either because Facebook. I swear to God, not only do they get worse in terms of like service, but they also get the website or the app or whatever you want to call it gets clunkier with like every update too. So
Yeah, that's true. It does. And I'm not gonna lie, I do have a Facebook. I just don't use as much. I started a new one because people
right,
on my page, yeah, it's very tiny and I'm not very active on it. Um, I'm not that active on there. I'm trying to get more active on my Instagram. Um, my personal Instagram page. I was going to delete it. Hold on. No, sir. Come here. Sorry about that.
she's a dog mom, folks. So that's what that is.
Yes, a 6 weeks going on 7 week old puppy. He's very hyper and he was about to run off the porch, and I'm on the second floor. So,
Oh geez, what dog breed by chance?
he's a yellow lab mix.
Oh,
But
my favorite.
grandpa, yes, they're so cute and they're so like smart. Like they're amazing. His dad's dad was like a red fox lab, so he has that. That's why he has that cool like red color on his fur.
Oh yeah, I'm. Well, you had me at lab, so we're best friends now. So I've noticed that you've been tweeting up a storm just in general, but I mean, what topics do you feel you cover most often on Twitter and just in general?
In general, honestly, I think most of it is. I have an issue with the black community, not with them. I have an issue with how the information is given to them and how long our community has been lied to and brainwashed, and what they've been doing with our entertainment industry. Um, and then the celebrities talking to politicians and teaming up um, to give some kind of validity to what they're saying, because these people already like these people who are celebrities. They look up to them as idols sometimes, or role models, or whatever they want. And when they go with a politician, and the politician says, when the celebrity says, "Hey, I'm with LeBron James. Let's do this together. Vote for us," and without really, answering the real issues in the community, like black people want school choice. Um, I'm quite sure black people don't want to pay more in taxes. There's a lot of things in our community that people are voting for, that that's not what they really believe. That's not really their values. So it's big for me. And that's a big thing for me about people deceiving other people and people not getting it. So that's a big thing in my platform. Defending Trump, vote red. That's my platform. And I have thought about too, like, if when Trump's not president anymore, what what are other people going to do? And then we think, what am I going to do? What's next? What am I going to talk about then? Still can talk about all the things I'm talking about. It's just not going to have like Trump on there as much. Probably comparing about how good a president he was, bragging about his accomplishments. But that I really like that. I like to also add a little bit of me to my Twitter too. I think sometimes we need to see a puppy running around in the grass in our feed, after everything else we see through our feed throughout the day.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
But and with Twitter, there's more I want to do. Like I want to. I'm a, I just told you earlier, I'm an entrepreneur. I really do set a lot of goals. I look at numbers, I look at analytics. Like, I want to be the best I can possibly do to help our country get back as close as it possibly can to the Constitution again. And I think I don't really have to start making a big focus on Texas because there's a big, huge movement to turn us blue. And Beto O'Rourke almost beat Ted Cruz. It was very, very scary to me. That he almost won. And what he was campaigning to Texans is opposite and different than what he was campaigning to.
Yeah, well, I mean that almost happened, here in Florida too. And it's interesting just because, just to give you a little bit of my background, I grew up in Colorado, and when I was, when I was growing up in Colorado, I witnessed Colorado go from like a pretty solid red, go from like a solid, red state, from when I was like in elementary school to, in middle school, it kind of became like purplish. And then when I was in high school and right around the time I started this show was when it started to, go from purple to blue. And now Denver is, Denver and therefore Colorado, the metropolitan area, is pretty much solid blue now. So it's interesting, to say the least, how that works. So, hold on a sec. You still there, Donnie? Okay. Hey.
Is that better?
Oh yeah, I thought
I can hear you all the way now.
Okay, I thought we lost you there for a sec. So sorry about that.
Oh, you're good. We did lose me, but I'm back.
Okay, did you hear what I just said, or do I need to repeat myself?
I heard you talk about Colorado, but I didn't hear everything.
Okay, so what I was saying is, like similar to your background, I grew up in a different state from where I'm at too. I grew up in Colorado, was born and raised, and when I was a kid, like pretty much all the way out, through elementary school, like Colorado was a pretty red, state. Then once I got into like, middle school or junior high, then Colorado started to go more purple, and by the time I graduated high school, like in 2013, it had gone like full blown, red or full blown blue, I guess. So,
Mm-hmm.
so you're concerned that like Texas going blue. People always say, oh, Texas will never go blue. Well, they said the same thing about Colorado, years and years and years and years ago, and look at where we're at now. So,
I'm not very sure what year it was because I wasn't born here and I don't remember everything I learned when I came here. But Texas wasn't always red either. It used to be blue.
right. I mean, it has switched back and forth, on and off
Mhm.
throughout the throughout the decades. Uh,
I saw I saw Texas trending today on Twitter, and I clicked on it. And the first post I see that's the highest up, I shared it, I believe. The guy was talking about getting more people, Hispanics here, so we can have Hispanics in office um, to take over Texas. And it had over 1,000 likes. Like, and I'm like, we keep telling you guys they're doing this. They're going to push this whole mail-in voting. They're going to have a big focus on Texas. Texas is, they got a website to turn Texas. Like, I saw it in their links when I was scrolling through their comment section. They're trying very hard to take Texas away from us. And I really need to do more information and stuff and discussions on Texas too, besides just the federal level. um, because I don't want Texas to turn blue. I
I,
mean, I saw what happened to Dallas. I mean, it's probably been blue, but it's getting worse. Like, homelessness, they're not even. I'm not even downtown, and there's needles, like drug needles. I've never seen one in real life before until I almost stepped on one in a parking lot.
oh
They're
wow.
walking up to our cars. We're the red lights by the highway, like the access road. They're coming up to your cars asking you for your money. And if you say no or you roll your window up, they start screaming and cussing you out. And it's just like, why? Austin. I used to want to live in Austin like about 10 years ago, maybe. And I went to Austin recently. It looks nothing like Austin I've seen before. It has a lot of homeless people. Like you can't walk past a street block where the lights are. There's always someone laying there. Um, they have porta potties. People are They're like random porta potties throughout the city for people who are homeless to go use the restroom. People are living in them. Um, it's crazy. And there's street lights, there's signs. People can just walk in front of your car. Like I know that can be an issue like anywhere, but like this is like there's no stop signs or anything. Like this is like weird how the streets are set up. People in Austin have to complain about it. So,
Right.
and it's the capital of
Well,
Texas.
well, and I mean this whole thing with COVID too. I wanted to ask you real quick because I saw Texas trending. I believe it was either yesterday or like early this morning on Twitter. Like the left and the mainstream media were complaining out like Texas like having an increase of like COVID cases, and they were trying to blame Governor Abbott for not like shutting down like in the same way that other states did, and they were also blaming my governor here in Florida, Ron DeSantis.
Mm-hmm. I saw that.
So like like I'm not one of those people on the right who believes that like COVID was a fake virus or anything. I certainly think it is real, but
Yeah.
but at the same time, I definitely there's no doubt in my mind that even though it is in fact real, that the left is still using it, as a way to score political points. So, um,
Yeah. So I mean, Texas is doing more testing, just like the nation is, just more testing. And then we had a bunch of riots in Dallas recently, in other big cities in Texas. There's riots here too, so that could be a part of the equation, which isn't It's not our governor's fault for that, but there's more testing. Just like the country has numbers, like there's more testing going on. So, and then with COVID, I there I don't like it's being used as a political weapon. If we just stick to the science, stick to what's actually going on, there's no financial incentives to say people have COVID or not have COVID. And I'm happy you brought that up too, because one of my group members actually works in that arena. I'm not going to say his name or anything, but he works in the
sure, sure.
funeral arena. And he said most cases that this come to them, they've been trying to tell them to lie and say it's COVID. And that's in the Dallas area.
Wow.
So this whole the inflation of these numbers, it's real. The inflation, all this, it's real. And I don't like when things, like I said, I don't like people being deceived. I have a big issue with people lying and deceiving people, and using it for political gain, using it for more money, not just for these hospitals or doctors or anything, but also more money to go to these Democratic cities when they're like, oh, we need more funding, give us more money, we need this and that, cities and states. They're taking more money too.
Yeah.
How much more money do you guys need? like like zombies or vampires suck people dry over here. What's up?
Well, well, and then on top of all this, you have these riots going on, and I mean, I'm sure, if I get, I don't want to assume, but if I get shit as a, white guy for, not supporting the movement of Black Lives Matter, like I support let me say this, I support the idea of Black Lives Matter because Black lives do matter. All lives matter. But
Mhm.
I get like, I get a lot of crap from, like friends from high school, who like message me on Facebook and give me a hard time about it and whatnot.
Yeah.
Do you have you? I mean, I hate to ask this, but like as a black woman, have you had to deal with the Black Lives Matter crowds like a lot, or um, how?
I I did recently. Remind me to tell you what that event was, because I was gonna tell you about how my perspective of the Black Lives Matter campaign and push. I feel like it's people being hoodwinked. It's a scam, and it was made to make money. And when we find out that this money is going to the Act Blue, which is for the Democratic Party, it's like you're raising all this money, saying it and using it, saying that, oh, this police brutality, black people are getting killed, and you're using this to pull on people's emotions so they give you their money during a pandemic. How selfish is that? You're talking about, you guys are on the news talking about, oh, the unemployment rates are this, not the third. They're so low. Oh my gosh, they're terrible. I'm not unemployment rates. Sorry, unemployment rates high. It's terrible. Donald Trump, what are you gonna do? But then, can you give us money for Black Lives Matter, please? You know what I'm saying? So that's how I feel about Black Lives Matter. It's a scam, just like the guy from what was it, Kenya, who wants to send you some money. So they ask you to send this money first. That's what Black Lives Matter is. It's a scam.
Well,
But
what's bizarre to me, I mean, it's not really bizarre because obviously, if you've studied this, and I'm sure you know this and I know this, but they're well funded by the left, and they're organized. But
mhm.
it's weird to me that they're now like going after someone in the chat brought up that BLM is going after like Jimmy Kimmel now, and Jimmy Fallon for wearing like blackface like 15 years ago, and like all this.
That's Black Lives Matter going after them, going
Well,
after him.
I mean, not directly, but just like the left as a whole, and cancel culture. So,
Well, now that we know more, about things that go on more, maybe he's being exiled from the group. Maybe he did something. Maybe they don't want him to be there anymore. Maybe they want to replace him with someone else. And they're using this because it wasn't an issue last year. It wasn't an issue 5 years ago. It wasn't an issue 10 years ago. Why now?
well, I
And
mean,
then if you're going to tell like Jimmy Kimmel for that, what about governor of Virginia? Why not him? Why isn't he? Why aren't you saying anything about him?
I think they were going to axe him. I thought, and then for whatever reason they decided not to. I mean, it's weird that we're focusing on like on like eliminating quote unquote racism in television shows now.
Yeah.
It's just it's
And who decides if he's racist? That's a subjective thing. Like, who decides if it's racist? Because someone could say that it was racist for Trump to have the kids during Halloween putting the bricks on the wall, building the wall. People could say that was. I don't find it racist. I thought it was hilarious. Because it's just the kids building a wall on Halloween. It's kind of funny. But who decides what's racist? If the left is going to decide what's racist, everything's racist.
yeah. That's also interesting because like now, I guess YouTube is like like some group of like black YouTubers recently sued YouTube because I guess they think that YouTube is hiding their visibility, and this is like a very liberal group, but like it might have the the unintended consequence of making, YouTube kind of like free for all of us, to be on there. But I'm not really
Yeah,
holding my breath.
yeah, it's not just conservatives being censored. It's pretty much if we don't like what you're saying too, they're gonna censor you. There's a chick I shared her today, by the way. She's the one who exposed Cardi B for reading a script on the computer screen that the left gave her and her talking points about COVID. She has a YouTube channel. She's not political. She brings it up. She hates Trump. I'm not suggesting anyone go over there because it might not be what you want to see, but she's not monetized. She could be if she wanted to be, but she gets censored bad. Her channels have been taken down multiple times because she has gone against people on the left, and they don't like that. Even though she's not conservative, she's gone against them, so she gets censored.
Yeah, well, that's like the thing now too. Is like now you don't even have to be like that conservative to get censored. Now, all you really have to do is say, like I was saying, like I actually had this argument with a white liberal, with like a white liberal friend. I said to this person, I'm like, look, I agree with the premise of Black Lives Matter. Like I agree with the idea that yes, there is, racism in the police department. So, like, let's address the elements of, like racism within the police department. Let's work to improve the,
But
the crooked elements in the department. But I disagree that, cops are racist as a whole, and, I don't think that we need to get rid of the police. And for this person
oh yeah, definitely not.
that wasn't good enough. Like the fact that I wanted to, like the fact that I suggested that we actually focus on, like fixing local, police precinct and whatnot. Like, no, that was out of the question. So,
Well, here's the thing though, when it comes to the police, they're law enforcement. They're enforcing the laws that people we voted for put in place. So when they were coming really hard at Bloomberg, the stop and frisk thing, like he put those policies into place, and the police officers enforced it. So yes, we need to fix that. The police departments, but it's who are the problem. They're the ones making these rules. They're the ones telling people to what is the word? I'm brain farting. What is the word when someone when you're trying to like someone in a car? Oh, that person's white, blue hat. What is it called again?
racial profiling.
Yes. So that that's been whose departments are those happening in? I think that we should be more so focused on is every police department that's doing that? No. And the ones who are doing it need to be fixed. And while we're at it, we shouldn't be getting tickets and having to pay for seatbelts because that's our choice to put a seatbelt on or not. That's, in my opinion, like them telling you what to do so they can, if they're sitting on the side of the road waiting for you to mess up so they can give you a ticket. I don't like that. I thought they were here to protect and serve. But
Right.
I support the police department. I actually have like seen them in the store. I say hi, they say hi. There's one in Dallas. He's a marshal though. I say hi to him all the time. I'm like, "What's up, boss man? You're great people. Not all police are bad. Sometimes some bad apples get in there, but you can't blame everyone for a few people's problems, their mistakes, the things that they do. You don't blame every doctor for if someone dies or messes up your surgery and messes you up. Like, we don't blame doctors for that. We're not saying, hey, let's not drive cars anymore because it's tons of deaths and accidents, from car accidents and stuff. We're not saying ban all those things. And then people are still, we're not saying ban the weight loss drugs and stuff because they don't work, but they still sell them. And they use celebrities too for that.
Yeah, it's it's very interesting. Like I was saying, I certainly think that there are things that the police can be reformed. I mean, the one thing I always the one thing I always hear is that like black people are getting pulled over like significantly more than their white counterparts are. And I wanted to ask you not to get like too personal, but have you had like any negative interactions with the police and felt like it was because of your race or something like that?
Um, no, I haven't. Hold on. Sorry, I had a cough. No, I haven't. I've been pulled over one, two, 4 times. Um, and I wasn't speeding on any of them, but they weren't rude. One of them was a black cop. He was on a bike and he was sweaty and his bald head was dripping on my clothes. Like, um, no, I haven't had that encounters. Did I want to get pulled over? No, but they weren't being racist towards me. And I've been pulled over in Dallas, in the small cities in between Dallas and Fort Worth. And so that's a lot of different kind of little cities there. So they've been different cities. They haven't been all the same cities. So I don't know. I'm in Texas, in the South. I don't know. I haven't personally experienced it.
So
And not to be like too much out there, I haven't actually made it public because I want to make sure. But I have a family member that is a cop. So I pray for him and I was worried for him. I called him while the stuff was going on. And like, these people have families too. Like, they're humans just like us. They go home, they have children, they have a wife, they might have pets, they have friends, and then we treat them like this.
yeah,
And then I had to worry for my own family member, because how people are acting, because what the media is telling them to do.
right. Well, it's interesting because you kind of have like the double whammy of the left wants you to be on their side and hate cops because you're African American, and yet they must do like a double take when they realize that you are related to a cop. You know
Hmm.
that must be kind of that must make for interesting conversation. I would imagine.
Yeah, I haven't really had any like in-person conversations. Pretty much been my families and friends and stuff who have been around. Because I'm quite sure they don't have a problem with it, because they know that my, family member is a cop because of my family. But I haven't posted or said anything about it on my social media. And I said family member, so we can't figure out which one. But because I'm afraid for his safety. Like, what if someone tries to find out, who this person is, So,
Is your family very like politically involved, or are you kind of like the odd man out, so to speak?
myself and my younger brother are more so vocal about it. My younger brother like isn't like huge on like social media platforms, but he's very involved. He's been more involved probably like going out and doing things and like being having organization that he's involved with. Other than that, that's me and him. I mean, we talk about it. But that's about it. My
Yeah.
little sister is learning, so
Um. So I mean, do you feel like the black community, so to speak, is waking up to any of this stuff, or do you still feel like the left has a stronghold on them, and is it possible, I guess, to bring them to the conservative front at this point?
I think that more are waking up than we can maybe even imagine right now. Wasn't it back last year? Didn't Trump have did he have a 34% approval rating of Black people or something like that?
Well, yeah.
Okay, that's good for a Republican, right? That's very good, right? So yeah, this is my another reason. So when Breakfast Club had their video with Biden, remember I told you guys this on the other show?
Yeah,
Um, it had a lot of views, and it had a lot of dislikes, more than I thought. A lot, almost. I think the dislikes were almost close to the likes on that one. Now, Breakfast Club also had Angela on too. Did you know that? Angela Staten.
oh,
She's running for Congress in Georgia.
I saw her ad. I also saw that like there was that Republican who was, running for AOC's old, congressional seat, and I'm not sure how that election went, but I'm certainly curious to find out about that. So,
Yeah, I mean, okay. So on those things, I'll get right back to those. Angela was on there. She did her just. She's a Black conservative. I'm actually going to give kudos for them having conservatives on the channel. They had Rush on there too, recently, and Angela had that video has a whole lot of likes. It had over 100,000 views, I think, a lot of views. And I'm going through the comment section. They're like, "We're about to write her off," but hold up, she's thinking how I think. I'm like scrolling. I'm like, no way. No way. I'm getting all excited. So I'm like, after I saw that, I was like, you know what? During elections this year, it's gonna be insane. I think that number for Black people liking Trump is gonna go up. I
really,
think,
really,
yeah.
because I'm seeing the opposite on the polls,
No,
like across the board. So what?
man. I'm gonna make a funny joke. Those polls are as reliable as the ones that Cardi B gets on. So no,
That
they're
that
lies.
that is funny. But yeah, no. So that's interesting though because obviously I mean the polls the last time said that Trump wouldn't win, but I am curious like what is your evidence to, um, you know, like what is your evidence that more black, and African Americans will vote for Trump in the next election?
um, One, I'm going off my observation. I'm looking at how many Black people are speaking up. How many more Black people have followed me on Twitter? I'm looking at the not Breakfast Club. There's a thing called Shade Room that is caters to the Black community with entertainment news. And before, I would see so many hateful comments that were extremely racist and evil if they posted anything about Trump. Now that number has gone down. I'm seeing people say, and I'm talking about a lot. I like when I tell you guys, I investigate a lot of stuff. Like I'm looking and seeing what people are saying under stuff. I know there's bots. I know people can lie on those things. But at one point in time, when I would see those posts, it would make me so upset. And I'm saying, what? What is wrong with you guys? What is wrong with you, Shade Room? You're deceiving people. And now they're still doing it. But people in the comments have changed. The discussions have changed. I'm seeing more people who are Black come up and they're like, yes, you're looking at the, rallies and stuff. There's more people of color there. Now, I bet you probably more would go if they felt safe.
Yeah, I'm sure. Have you talked to like any undecided voters or anything like that? Like any of your like I know you said you tend to keep your politics online, but like have you talked to any like your in real life friends who are kind of like politically neutral? Because I find that like and this is true for everyone, but I find that it kind of like seeing what the quote unquote moderates think is always a pretty telling indication. So
Yeah, okay, so in person, cool story. The my neighbor who's my friend on there, she was like, hey, let's get on. Twitter together. I'm like, oh, are you sure? Mine's very political. I don't know if you want to do that. And she's like, oh, no, I want to see what you have to say. I'll jump on there. Because she knows I like talking about that stuff. But I guess she didn't realize, because she never like sat there and listened to me. She just heard me around other people talking. So she hops on there one day, and then she calls me, asks me to go downstairs. I go, hey, what's up? And she goes, Doni, you're MAGA? And I'm like, yeah, I am. I said, I warned you. And she goes, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but I really want to hear your perspective. I want to know, like, why you support Trump. Because I've been going through your feed and looking at people who follow you in the comments, and they're so supportive of you. And she said, and they're all different colors and ages. Like, I want to know more. So sometimes she just wants to sit and talk to me about it. And she's black too, but she's half black. She's black and white.
Well, that's good.
And she used to hate Trump.
Well, that's definitely an improvement. Then, I mean, the fact that she's willing to at least talk to you about. I mean,
volunteer to. On top of that,
that's interesting because, like, I have to tell you, a lot of my friends who were liberal, the ones who at least were willing to, like, listen to my show and actually, like, talk to me, like, one-on-one and, like, hear my opinion and, actually, like, discuss things, they've pretty much all gone, like, for Trump now in 2020. So.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. So you're having that experience, too.
Yeah, I mean, and one other thing, I actually did a TikTok video on this today, actually, which I'll upload to YouTube later. But
hey, Sam, hold on. Phil, I do not punch babies. Thank you very much. But I can punch a Phil.
Yeah. Phil, you are not fluffy at all. So
he's trolling.
You are well. Phil also said I should kneel for Doni, and I'm racist. I mean,
No, thank you.
Listen,
if anybody, I know, like, he's his joke, but if anyone kneels to me, it's an insult. That's weird.
Well, I mean, I can make another joke, but we won't go there. So,
I don't know. I think we should go there. I thought you said it wasn't that formal.
Well, I mean, I was just gonna say the only kneeling I'm doing for Doni is if I end up proposing to her, but like we're not at that level yet. So, but But I mean, yeah, I definitely think one thing that I've noticed too is, like, a lot of people, once they find out that I'm a conservative, they're shocked because they're like, "Wait, you're a conservative? You're such a nice guy, though." And that's something I got a lot, and it's like, well, conservatives can be nice, too. Like, just because we're pro, Second Amendment and pro Constitution and pro religion doesn't mean that we have to be, jerks to people who disagree with us. I mean, like, yeah, there are some of the extremists out there, but, like, generally I find conservatives in general to be, like, a lot nicer overall. So.
Oh yeah, like, think about that. Okay, let's go back to Twitter. Okay. If you look at people's profiles on the left, right? How often do you see their comrades coming out, defending one of each other? Like, you don't really see that. Like, they'll be on their own. And when it's us, people are coming out and saying stuff. They see it. If they see the tweet.
Right.
People have tried to attack me. Oh, I never came back to that point. I'm so sorry. The Black Lives Matter, you said, has it affected me personally? Like, has anything happened? I never got back. So I'll use that example then. One night, I must have been on some kind of list. I had these people. They made a bunch of tweets with these weird, disfigured people, look like demons or something. And then they had it written in Polish on the tweet. But when you translate it, it was talking about torturing me to death and me being the slave I want to be and me dying. Like, and they came in droids, like hundreds of them. And then guess who was like blocking and reporting them for me too? And guess who also was telling them off? Conservatives. They're
Wow.
like, we don't even know each other. I mean, imagine how long they would have took me to like get all those accounts. I'm like went back through the thing recently because someone like liked something. I'm like, oh, I'm seeing all these pages that have been removed from that feed they did to me. So
Well,
conservatives, man, most conservatives, mostly everyone, but most are like amazing, caring people, and we get painted not to be so, and we're not cool apparently, but honestly, we're the coolest. I want to hang out with people who do conservative things and like not the other stuff. Like that stuff makes sense.
well, I mean, I think that I think that you know, like trying to be cool too now. I mean, like, what is that
Right.
even really? I mean, it's like it changes, almost week from week. Like, like now rioting and like burning, crap down is considered like edgy and cool. So
Right. Apparently it's legal too.
yeah, that's crazy, and like that is the one thing. Is like, I'm not saying that the riots are good because they're not, obviously, but I do feel like because of the riots, like even my more liberal friends who were, like on the, fuck Trump and fuck Republicans, train, like, even just like at the beginning of the year, like they're now saying, okay, you kind of have a point now with, the Second Amendment and everything else. So it's
And you know, I'm happy that the mainstream media failed at trying to make it out to be us doing those things. That failed. And everyone knows it's them. It's, so at first, trying to make it sound like it was Trump supporters doing these things. Now they're taking full responsibility, like for it. I'm happy about that.
yeah, so am I. Um, yeah, so aside from politics, what else are you in? What else are you involved in?
For my career, I'm in the software sales industry, and well, I sell it. I'm in the software industry, and I'm the salesperson. Um, that's what I do for a living, and I've been doing sales for a while. And I have a group in Dallas called the Conservative Fit, and I know that's political still, but I invest time in that a lot of time in that. Actually, we're meeting tomorrow, and we're going to start teaming up with the local Dallas GOP. And I like to work out. I like anime. I love anime actually. It's one of my favorite things. I'm a huge Dragon Ball Z fan, and I don't have any tattoos, but if I did get one, it'll be Dragon Ball Z related.
So,
Yeah,
so, so you're
but
you're a nerd as well. Then I take it. So
yeah, I'm a nerd. And I like reading, I like books, I like to write. But I am not into games, like video games. Not that I would never play. It's just something I didn't really get into. I did play them growing up. I beat my cousins in, Mortal Kombat, uh, and Street Fighter and stuff. Like I beat them, and they would get so mad because I didn't know I was doing it. I was like clicking the buttons really fast all around, and I'd win. And I, I used to like that stuff, but no, I didn't like that stuff. And I haven't been working on it as much now because of everything going on, moving on the Twitter stuff. But I have a side gig where I will help businesses grow, and also I sell a software, and I can it's a CRM software, customer relationship management software, and it's pretty dope. And that company I resell for was not on that list that gave money to Black Lives Matter, and I love it.
That's very cool. So, and then, as you mentioned at the beginning of the program, you're a dog mom too. So,
Yes, yes. I used to be really, really into fitness, like super into it. I'm getting back into it again, but like I used to do. I started doing powerlifting competitions. Um, and until I got in a car accident, it's kind of messed up a little bit my groove on that. But yeah, I was powerlifting. Like I was pretty good, and it wasn't too many people. There weren't too many girls in my weight class, and there weren't too many girls powerlifting, so it was kind of nice. You could win just for being there, but
mm-hmm.
but yeah, that's me outside of politics. But I feel like politics have, on that pie graph has taken up a lot of that space because I'm doing a lot more, way more research and reading more because you never know what the future will hold. And what do I want to get out of this and what I want to do with it. I'm still working on this. But the great thing is, a lot of you guys have pushed me to take action. Um, I thank you guys for having me on the shows and stuff, and talking to me and getting to know you guys and your stories. We're all in different spots of the country. I
Yeah,
mean, I never really imagined this happening, and I think it's so awesome. Like,
yeah.
and honestly, too, I want to thank God first, and then I'm gonna thank Trump. Like, we probably never have met or spoke before if it wasn't for Trump.
That's very true. I mean, listen, I've been in the political game for a while, so I remember like 10 years ago the big Tea Party wave, and that was like a big momentous event, and then it kind of lost steam. But Trump, like, say what you will, he's not 100% perfect all the time, and I think it is possible to like him and criticize him because no one is perfect, but by and large, I think he's organized the conservative movement, in a way that like no other president has, probably since Reagan. He's easily the best president of my lifetime, and granted
Same.
I'm only 25, but still I would think at this point I'm old enough that would count for something at least. So,
Oh, definitely. Like, okay, so I'm gonna tell y'all this about the whole since I'm 32. 25. Your life is gonna speed up, by the way. After 25,
yeah,
um, that's what
yes,
happened to me.
yeah. So I keep telling, so I keep hearing.
But like, there's a life experience there. Like, okay, your life experience is different from someone who's 10, from someone who's 18, who's 21. It's a whole different life experience. And we don't want to just measure in years. It's like, okay, what did you experience in your life? Have you had any conflicts or anything in your life where you had to overcome? And who are you as a person at this point in your life? So
Right.
so like it doesn't matter. You're 25. You've been how many presidents was that?
I think like basic.
4.
Yeah, four. I think at this point. So.
So yeah, man, you've lived through a lot. Like honestly, as a kid, I remember Bill Clinton on the news. Like I said back then, kid wasn't political. I saw him raising the roof with Will Smith. I thought he was cool.
Everyone
And then,
thought that Bill was cool. And listen, I mean, compared to Hillary, Bill is
well,
still kind of cool. So I mean, he's he's
she's decent.
he's the more he's the more, I guess, he's the less evil Clinton. So
Gotcha. So I thought Bill was cool. So when I got, a little older, I'm like, okay, I'm watching I didn't like the Republican candidate at the time. Was it McCain, first guy? I didn't like him. I was really mad he was picked in the first place. Was it McCain, correct? The first time, right? Mitt was the last one.
Yeah.
Okay. And I was watching, I watched both sides. I gotta hear what both people say, right? Just so to have information. And I saw Hillary and Obama. I'm like, she's attacking him and not the issues. I'm like, what is she doing? Ugh, Bill married her.
Yeah, well,
This is
Bill.
before I knew his dirt. This is before I knew of his dirt. I just like, oh, do I really like him? Oh, by the way, too, during that time frame, my dad worked for GM, and I believe it was around the time Bush became president that GM was gone, and like so financially, our family was different, during this presidency. So also back then, looking back at it, you know, I'm like, was it Bush's fault? When I was younger, 'cause I was trying to figure out whose fault was it? Like, what happened to all these jobs in Indiana with GM? But then I was also like not fully, like I said, I don't think I was in, I went to high school. Wait, I was in middle school while when George was president, and I, I never disliked him, but I was thinking the money was different at home when he was president.
Right.
So, what's funny though? Trump did say that in an interview once that uh, Democrats the economy seemed to do better when Democrats were in office than Republicans. He goes, I don't really see how that works, but you know, he said something about that once, and I'm kind of like, hmm, I wonder about that. But honestly, I that's just when I was younger. But I'm rambling now. I forgot where I was going with that.
Yeah, yeah, no. I know you have to head out here, shortly, so I don't want to keep you for too much longer. But one final question I do have for you is,
I was saying, Gordon went to sleep.
oh, okay.
My dog. So that's why maybe we still keep talking to you.
Oh, okay. Well, that's all right then. So, I guess the big question I have is, like, I have a pretty good feeling that Trump is going to win. I'm fairly optimistic. I think that all this, crap that's going on with the left's rioting and, like, the government shutting down and the deep state and, like, and the impeachment, I think all that stuff is, like, the left's, like, like they're in their death struggle right now, and they're like
You
trying
can
to hold,
tell it's asking for air.
and they're trying to hold on to their last onto their last grasp of power. So I think that is what that's all about. But
I
if
have a.
oh
Go ahead. Sorry.
go ahead. No, I you can make that point. I was just going to ask, if for some reason Trump loses, do you think that you're going to still remain active in politics? Because like I know that like a lot of people who like they get really enthusiastic when there's a Republican in office, but then like if like 2012 was like a perfect example. Like I saw a bunch of like younger people like you and I start podcasts when Mitt was running for president in 2012, and then when he lost, they just kind of dropped out completely, which was disappointing to say the least.
If Trump loses, it'll be because someone cheated. And I don't want to sound like the left, but they're doing a lot of things in our faces that's showing that they're trying to cheat.
Oh
So I
yeah.
don't think that I don't want to like get any kind of ideas in people's heads, but I'm not sitting down. I'm not going to be sitting down. I won't be quiet either about it if he loses, because there's no way.
That's the correct answer there, Donnie. Absolutely. So, um,
I had the question I was going to ask you at that point. I heard this theory that like a lot of us think that Biden is just, there as a, the puppet, but the actual VP pick is the person they're going to want really to be the president. There's this theory that they want it to be a Susan Rice and Nancy Pelosi, because if Biden's out and then Susan Rice becomes president and then Nancy is the House Speaker, they're the ones in power. So what do you think of that theory?
That's an interesting theory. I've heard Kamala Harris as being the nominee, and I mean she's basically a female version of Obama in terms of like her radical, views. I mean, like,
yeah, she ran. I believe she ran his campaign before. You know that, right?
Well, yeah.
I saw a picture of them together, and I was like, "Why are they together in this picture?" I was curious, so I looked, and I think she led his campaign. She worked his campaign. One of those things.
Well, David Axelrod was the campaign manager for that election, but I believe that she worked under Axelrod at the time, if I remember correctly. I think that's what that was about. So.
And she has a very obscured background of who she is too, like him, like Obama as well. She, to her face and on TV, she claims she's black, goes to the Breakfast Club and stuff. But when she was brought in, I think she was brought in as the first Indian senator? I feel like she picks what race is more convenient for her. And then I thought it's also strange too, like that I saw that neither one of her parents were born here, like Obama's as well, and they're on the same team.
Wait, are you talking Elizabeth Warren here or Kamala?
No, her parents are not, what I saw, were not born here. I guess her dad is Jamaica. She's from Jamaica, and her mom is from India, but yet she was born here. Kind of like Obama.
Interesting. Well, I mean, I can tell you this much. I can tell you this much, Donnie. I mean, it's weird to me that, like, even in the polls, which again, as we mentioned earlier in the show, they're not reliable at all.
No.
But even in the reliable polls, it strikes me as odd that Biden is leading when the guy is literally sitting in his basement, not commenting on anything. And I mean, I haven't been on Biden's YouTube page, but from what a friend told me, his campaign spots are so he is so incoherent now that by default, okay, not by like a toggle or anything, but by default the subtitles come on now.
Oh. Wow.
So yeah, I'm like, like they were joking about us running a celebrity, Playboy for president, right, with Trump. But now they are literally running a dementia patient. And I mean, I'm not a fan of Biden, but part of me does feel bad for Biden too, just because, like, if it were anyone else, like, but Biden, like, running someone with, like, that level of, dementia is just, that seems cruel almost.
It should be illegal. Like, that is illegal, right? Like, if you have that, like, I don't know if he's been diagnosed with it. He probably has, and they're hiding it. But that should be illegal. You can't. I when I was an insurance agent, if someone showed any kind of signs of that, you did a deal with them without someone else there, a person of authority there, then you could go to jail. You can be fined. You'll lose your license.
Yeah. Well, the theory is the theory that I've heard from reliable sources he's is that he's going to wait until the Democrat National until the DNC until the convention later this summer, and then it's going to be announced that like he has dementia or Alzheimer's or something, and then that's when the VP is going, and then he's going to step down, or the VP will take over as the nominee, presumably.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I've heard. I don't know if that's actually like if they can actually do that, but that's what I've heard. So
They sure seem to be making a lot of new rules. Um, and oh, I want to point this out too. Bernie Sanders, I don't even on the conservative side. We don't like socialism. We don't want socialism. But him as a person, I don't feel like Bernie Sanders gets a lot of hate from the each side, and I feel like Bernie Sanders is very malicious. I feel like he's not being noticed. Now, everything. This is my opinion. I feel like Tara Reid was sent by Bernie um, to mess up with Biden's campaign, so that he would have another chance. And you can still vote for him, can't you? Right? He still gets money on his campaign, right?
I mean, I think so. I think he suspended his campaign, but I don't know if he ever like dropped out officially, or if that's the same thing. So
Because I saw his name and Elizabeth Warren's name, I think Kamala Harris's name listed on that website with Biden's for Black Lives Matter when he went over to Act Blue, and then people were showing where the money was going, and his name is all these people's names are still on there though. So I'm like confused of why.
yeah, it's that's very weird indeed that that's the case, and the other weird thing too is they're all white, people too, pretty much. I mean, with the exception of
Yeah.
Kamala Harris, like they're all old white people. So
So I think the people whose name was on that list might be his VP option because like why are they still listed on there? So it was Bernie's name was on there, but we don't think it's him that's gonna be the nominee. It's not a woman. And then Kamala Harris and Elizabeth Warren are still on there.
that's a good point. I mean, the fact that they've that they're scheming this far out, to dump, to try and like beat Trump in the election, like that's bad. So and I mean
It's
you
not the
all
first time.
well you already know that they're going to try and rig the thing in his favor, and I guess from what I'm hearing too, I haven't looked into this fully yet, so I don't know what the story is here, so I could be wrong. But from what I understand, Michael Flynn has been exonerated too. Trump's like national security advisor, who initially got in trouble with the Russiagate stuff, and I guess there's some documentation out there now that like proves that both Obama and Biden knew about the wiretaps at Trump Tower, and
Wow.
perhaps even ordered them. So, um, I haven't looked
Yeah,
in.
I'm in the same place you are. I know about that's what I've heard too, but I haven't dug into it yet.
Yeah, that would certainly be something to look into, perhaps, for Saturday's show. So, um,
Yeah. After
yeah,
after after this show, then Saturday we have the show.
that's correct. Um, so someone in the chat asked a very good question, which is, are you going to start a show? And I mean, are you on YouTube or anything? Well, I mean, I know for one, she can be found on Versa Media's channel, but you know, any announcements at this time, or are you just waiting and seeing on get?
So I'm still working on some stuff to get it all going the way I want it to, because I'm a perfectionist, but not at the same time. But it's going to be more so mid July, early August when I will do the show. I want to build the audience as well, and then you know what? An actual live show, that's when it'll happen. But I will have other videos on there before then, but it won't be like a live show like this. But so people can gain interest and want to come and listen to me live, and see what my show's about, because they may subscribe and like, this is not the Donnie that I really cared for. I'm out. So I'm trying to make sure I do it right. And then I have a lot to learn still. Like, I'm learning from you guys. I never heard Discord, so I have to figure all that stuff out. So it's coming. I'm just working on it. I'll pick an official date, probably July 1st, too soon, in like a week. So yeah.
All right.
Are
Well,
you in?
yeah. Well, I mean, she's very active on Twitter, folks, and I mean, even if some of you guys are on Twitter, I mean, I'm sure that we'll post like links to her shows in our show notes too once it's up and running. So, well, I mean, so I've asked you a bunch of questions. Do you have any questions for me or any other topics you would like to bring up?
Yeah, I have a question actually. I'm really curious. Like you've pretty much seen me be in politics for like a long time and been vocal about it for a while. Um, like what made you even want to even care about it in the first place? Like what sparked your interest? Like you're 25 years old. You like already been doing this. What made you want to do it?
So okay, so this is so I'm glad you asked this, because this is actually kind of interesting. So um, you know, so I don't know if you actually know this, but I'm in a wheelchair, and like
Mm-hmm.
I've been physically disabled my entire life, and I'm not someone who makes like a big deal out of it, but it is what it is. And one thing that I've always tried to be good about is like, having a good attitude, and part of that is like I like to think I have like a really good sense of humor. I like to, joke around and, like have fun, and like, I have like a bunch of friends, and like we just talk like random, you know, stuff and whatever. So around the time that like my friends and I were like in school, getting ready to go into high school, um, I found that um, in school, like I sucked at math, right? I was not good at math, and I was pretty good at like writing and English, um, but I was really good at like history and current events. So like scholastically, that's kind of I was good at those subjects, and also when I was a kid, my mom would pick me up for like physical therapies and whatnot, after school, and whenever she did that, Rush Limbaugh would be on the radio. So I kind of grew up listening.
That's awesome.
I'm as I'm what's known as a Rush baby, actually. So, which you might be too. Are your parents conservative? By the way, it's kind of looking like
uh,
they are, but I don't want to
uh,
assume.
well, I did not know. We never really discussed it before until recently. They're not. My dad, he says he tends to vote more conservative. We had a discussion, but he does not like Trump. And my my mom is also my stepmom. That's who I was raised up my dad with growing up. She's my mom since I was around 5 or 6, I believe.
Uh huh.
And so she's actually white, and she's liberal, very liberal, actually.
Oh, so you have to deal with a Karen then. I'm sorry. So.
And actually, she's actually very kind of she's a super introvert. She's this me having this discussion with her and my dad was interesting. Um, and my little sister was like, "Oh, I don't." My little sister doesn't like confrontation, and I'm like, "We're just having a discussion, sis. I don't feel any negative emotions. We're just talking." And I learned a lot. And I look at them and I'm like, "You guys did not. You guys raised me like this is why I'm like this." Like, I'm confused. But my dad said he tends to vote conservative, but he just doesn't like Trump, and I can totally see that. And then it'd be funny too. People find out like, well, if I keep growing and they know more about me and dig into me more, they're like, "Well, your mom's like, well, of course you're conservative, but she's liberal. What are you talking about?"
Yeah, well, again, that goes back to, like people making assumptions about, conservatives and whatnot, which is the weirdest thing. But, anyway, so kind of going back to my, story since you asked about that. So I grew up listening to Rush, in the car from my mom. And, so like that definitely planted a seed, and I like the idea that he basically just, was like talking to people on the radio and that he was making money doing that. Like that in and of itself like blew me away when I was like, 12 or however old I was at the time. Um, and as I mentioned, like I also like to, joke around and like have, fun and like, my friends and I would get into trouble, like not, real bad, but we were kind of, mischievous a bit. Um, and so I remember when Obama like ran and like started to, run, like he became a serious contender, and two things happened. One was I remember I had to look up like I remember like I had to look up his voting record for you know for the candidate, and like his senatorial voting record was like all over the place. Like it was not consistent at all. So like no one really knew where he stood on anything, which perplexed me. And I actually brought that up to, someone in the class, and they actually called me a racist for that. And I was like, and I'm like, I didn't say anything about, him being, black. I just said that, his voting record was inconsistent. Like, how does that make me racist? So,
Right.
like that was kind of the first big, warning. And then like the second,
Were
thing.
you in Colorado?
Yeah, I was like in eighth grade at the time. I think like seventh or eighth grade. Um, and then the other thing that happened too was like that was when like political correctness like really started to like take hold, and like everyone had to be sensitive of each other's feelings, quote unquote, and all of that. Well, I remember like I was goofing off like with my friends, and like we were making like jokes about how like about how like one of my friends was like retarded, even though he wasn't. He was just like acting like retarded or whatever.
Yeah, we said that a
Um,
lot as kids.
and then
We said,
yeah, well, and then like I made a joke about like me being like like a lazy cripple whatever, and it was like we were just giving each other crap like guys do. And I remember like one of these other students who was like in like some sort of like later I would find out she was like in like one of these like super like liberal organizing clubs. She was like, oh, Sam, like you shouldn't be so hard on yourself, and you shouldn't disparage yourself like that. Like she was nagging on me for like making a clear and obvious joke about myself, and like trying to make me feel bad, for that. And and like it wasn't appropriate for me to call, my black friend, my black friend, like she wanted me to like use the phrase like like not even I think even like African American was like too racially charged. I can't even remember what she wanted, but basically like like even in middle school it was the thought and language policing that began from the left, and I was just like, man, I can't be the one you know who is upset by this. So I started a podcast, kind of just like dicking around on my computer one night, and I sent the file to my mom, and she was like, "This is actually pretty good." So then I sent the file out to like a few friends, in like middle school, and they were kind of like, you might have something here." So like I kind of like you know started like I kind of started a show just for like fun,
mm-hmm.
and then once the Tea Party movement like took off, in 2011, like I was like, okay, I'm gonna start a podcast, and it took me like about like 2 or 3 years to like get the show going. But I mean, once I did, it was great. Like in 2012, I actually interviewed Ben Shapiro before anyone really knew who Ben Shapiro was. So, and then I think that's how like I kind of I kind of got discovered, and um, I've kind of been in this game ever since, and I've it's interesting because I've had opportunities to like go speak at CPAC and whatnot for like lots of money, but I've never taken it. A, because they kind of seemed like fishy deals, but B, like yeah, I'd love to make money at doing the show, but at the same time, I don't really feel like the politics is the I don't really feel like the money is the reason why I got into politics in the first place. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so
I totally get that. But if you can get paid doing what you love,
yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, well, and I mean that's the other nice thing about like podcasting now is like if you're successful enough, you can get like advertisers, and and like people can actually now donate to like YouTube streams too, so
Mm-hmm.
which is nice too. And shut the fuck up, Phil. I am not going to do a makeup channel. Maybe maybe you will, Mr. Fluffy Phil. Fluffy my ass. So
And I think you might have answered my second question. I would be curious to know who you would like to meet, which public figure you would like to meet outside of Trump. Um,
Do they have to be alive or dead?
Alive.
Okay, well,
You can tell me the dead one too, but alive is the actual, like, in real life, alive today. If they reach out to you and ask to be in your show and meet you, who would you want that to be?
well, alive, I would have to say Rush Limbaugh, just because I
Yeah.
have, I have immense respect for the man. I mean, I wouldn't even be here in front of this microphone, if it weren't for him. And honestly, like even Trump has said that like he wouldn't really even have been president if it weren't for people like Rush Limbaugh, like really kind of not necessarily motivating him particularly, but like saying that like we need an entrepreneur as president, which I guess kind of like inspired Trump, I guess. So, um, but like I'd love to meet Rush. I'd love to meet, what? Well, I mean, obviously, I'd love to meet the president of the United States if I could. Um,
Hmm.
so, uh, you know, I'd
That's
I'd love
awesome.
I'd love to meet you once you get rich and famous. Hopefully, before you get rich and famous too. So,
Yes, yes.
um,
So that I would make sure that happened.
yeah.
I'll always make. That's dope.
So,
And
what about you? Who do you want to meet outside of the president in terms of public figures?
I think it's funny you asked me that because I asked you that and I don't have an answer yet. Because I said outside Trump because I knew that would be my first choice. Um, I let me see. Mm, I'm not really sure yet who I would want to meet. Honestly, I want to meet. I want to meet Chad. Um, watch Chad off the Blaze TV.
Chad
I want to meet him.
Chad Prather, which
Yes.
who I have no idea who he is other than that like he's like an extremely good looking like country western type looking guy. Like that's all I know about him. So
I discovered him on YouTube when I was going around and trying to find things and content where it wasn't, Trump hating. I came across Chad and found him, I think maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago. And I listened, like when I drive from work, it takes about hour and a half when there's like traffic again. So I listened to that and him and podcast. I listened to a lot of different people, but I love listening to him because he's funny. He's here in Texas as well, and he says how it is. Like, Steven Crowder does that too. But like Chad, I feel like he hasn't met me in person or anything yet. Like we've never had a private conversation yet, but I feel like he's really rooting for me, and I want to meet people like that. Um, like he endorsed me on Twitter. He didn't have to. He did it more than once. He did it twice that day.
yeah,
But he realized, yeah,
yeah, I actually saw that, and like I said, I don't really know who he is all that well, but I still know who he is, and I was like, wow, she's already getting endorsements like that. So you know,
yeah.
I will say as far as like people who I actually have met, not necessarily in person, but someone who has also been a big influence on me. Like I said, I'm big into comedy and into humor. Is I don't know if you know who Dennis Miller is. He's one of the original, well, not like original, but like he's probably one of the most famous Weekend Update anchors on Saturday Night Live from back in the '80s. And he used to be a liberal, but he kind of went conservative after 9/11 happened, and he has like a very peculiar, a very like peculiar, like nerdy sense of humor. Like he makes like very like he makes like very like deep references that like not a lot of people get like pop culturally, but
Mhm.
I'm kind of a nerd, so I like him, for that. And he's
I
smart.
will look into.
He's smart as hell too. And back when he had his radio show, I used to call in every once in a while, and I would talk with him, and he would let me plug my show. So he's helped me a lot as well.
That's
So
awesome. That
um,
is so cool. Yes, that would be a great person for you to get to meet in person.
so yeah, yeah. I mean, I can. He was actually on, I think, Dave Rubin's podcast recently, so I can send you a couple links to that
Yes,
after
please.
the show if you're interested.
I am. That sounds great.
But
That'd be great.
but yeah, I mean, listen, I always think it's great when I can, you know, one of the reasons why I still love doing podcasting all these years, like I have to be honest, like the politics part of it, especially these days, like really isn't. I don't want to say I hate it, although to be honest, I do somewhat. But the reason why I still like doing the show is because I get to meet people like you and Fluffy Phil, even though he's a dickhead, and Sean and Alex and Apex Gamma, who I've known for for a while now, and like all sorts of other people kind of on the internet, can sort of media community. I mean, it's great. It's the people that I meet that keep me involved in this. So
Yes, definitely. And like and I know it's like, oh, so frustrating to see this all the time, but it's addicting too. Because like for me, I'm obsessed about making sure my freedoms are intact, and then it bothers me when people take them away. So it's it can be very stressful sometimes to like think about it sometimes and like, man, is this ever gonna stop? Like, keep seeing all this stuff keep going on, but then it's like, well, how can we make it stop? There's, we need solutions for these problems.
well, one thing I've noticed, Donnie, and I don't know how else to describe this, but like as of late, I kind of feel like simultaneously like depressed at like the riots and like COVID and all that stuff. But yet
Hmm.
but yet I also feel like exhilarated too and like kind of motivated, by like I said, meeting people like you and others. And it's weird because like you wouldn't expect I wouldn't expect to be like feeling those emotions at the same time. But and yet here they are, like, yeah, there's a lot at stake, but I'm also like really excited. So
Yeah, I mean, you know, like when they were trying to impeach Trump, and in December, I was fed up. And I'm like, going to Twitter, boom, like they're trying to impeach my president. Like, no.
I think it's interesting too. Like I said, that like even more liberal people, like Joe Rogan was originally like a Bernie Sanders guy, right? And yet
Yeah.
and yet like and even so, like I like Joe Rogan like as an interviewer. I think he's great. But like it just goes to show like the left has gotten so unhinged that like people who were previously, liberal, like, like Tim Pool and Joe Rogan, are now saying, like, I might have to vote for Trump. So, I mean, that's really where we're at now. So
Hmm. Yeah. I I have watched some of Joe Rogan's things. I haven't watched anything with Tim Pool's. I've seen him on Steven Crowder's show, but I have seen some of Joe's stuff, and I think what bothers me is when I watch people and they talk about things and they sound conservative, but then they label something else on top of it bothers me.
yeah, I mean, I get that too. You know, but I mean, at the same time, like, I don't know. I mean, I'm not like I'm not as pure. Like, I'm a Christian, and like I'm a conservative. Like, but at the same time, like the two don't necessarily go hand in hand together. Like for me, like politically, like I'm okay with gay people like being in the Republican Party, and like I think we actually need like the more the merrier. You know what I mean? And like
Hmm.
I don't know, like abortion is the one social issue that is like a big no for me. But like I will admit that like I am more of like a libertarian when it comes to like what people do with their lives outside of outside of abortion. So
Yeah, like when the government's not involved. Yeah,
yeah,
I completely here's my thing. We have our beliefs, and then, Angela brought this up during her interview. She set it out pretty well. She goes, her question to them was, if I don't agree with abortion, then why do I have to pay for it? There's that point. And then she said she was arguing with the other Angela Yee, and she was like, Angela was like, I'm pro-choice. I feel like, and they pull up, the same talking points. Well, what if someone's raped? Apparently, it's 1% on those people actually, um, in statistics. That's what's going on. And so Angela's
right.
like, okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, no, I can hear you.
Okay. And she was saying, yeah, choice is life or death. That's what it is. It is how they word it. You're choosing to let your baby live, or you're choosing to let the baby die. And like she explained it so well, I'm like, man, I'm gonna have to like articulate that like she does, because that's a good way to put it. And she's like, and then she also made a good point. Why would you kill the baby, and not the person who raped you?
Yeah, that is a very good point. And like I actually know a few, like a few women who have unfortunately been victims of sexual assault, and they're all big Second Amendment advocates, for that reason. So,
Mm-hmm.
so,
Yeah, and
so yeah, so
but with I agree. People do what you want to do, because God gave us the gift of choice, so you can choose as long as you're not infringing on anyone else's rights. But I'm going to say that I feel like instead of them making gay marriage legal, I feel like if the government was going to get involved, then they could just the government could just recognize the unity, the union, because
yeah,
marriage came from the Bible, and
right.
it's in the definitions between man and woman. I'm not saying that I don't believe in gay people not being together or whatever they choose to do, but the government could have just recognized it as a unity
Well,
from them on their own. They shouldn't have involved themselves in religion. You know,
yeah, well,
they should
yeah.
not marry.
Well, yeah, I mean that was actually that's actually my stance too. As far as that goes, if you want to get into specifics, I agree with you completely on that. But at the same time, I don't feel like that's the hill that conservatives need to die on either. Um, you know, per per se. With that being, said, what do you think are the biggest issues that conservatives need to, address here in 2016, not or in 2020, not just Trump, but conservatives as a whole?
I think we need to speak up. If our symbol is an elephant, then we should act like elephants. Like we should be not acting like the mouse or something for the elephant. Um, like we are the silent majority. We don't have to be silent. And I was silent too. I'm guilty. But I'm not anymore. And I want everyone else to speak up too. It helps when everyone else speaks up. And then also how we deliver our message. Like I said in your other show when we talk about abortions and stuff, there's people I know personally who's gotten them before and they feel awful. Worst experience they've ever had. Not what they thought it was. Not what they thought it was gonna be. And they've had been depressed, gone through depression over it. And I feel like the approach should be different. Um, telling people that they're killing their baby isn't working. Telling people that they're evil and demented for doing this isn't working. How do we do it? Well, Christians, we're supposed to accept people with open arms. We say that God forgives people for their sins. So if you may have had that story, I guess like a Me Too story in a sense, then you should be able to, be able to say it. People don't want to admit to it, but like admit to it and say, hey, this is what happened to me, and I don't want it to happen to anyone else. I feel like that message needs to be said differently because when you're if you're not everyone's rational, they're looking emotionally, like you're attacking them. And then that might be one defining pieces why they're not going to be conservative because they feel like you hate them.
Well, that's a very good point. I feel like with the Me Too movement, and like most things, like even Black Lives Matter. Let's just use Black Lives Matter as an example too. I feel like Black Lives Matter may have started out with good intentions, and same thing with Me Too. Like
I don't think so.
Well, I mean, I think you're right, but my original theory was that like maybe some of these movements like started out with good intentions, but then got hijacked by the radical left. I mean, that certainly happens. Or in the case of like Black Lives Matter, see, like that's the other thing too. Is like, like it's one thing for me to say something about Black Lives Matter, but I don't really feel like anyone is going to really like pay attention to what I have to say because I'm a white dude. Like when it comes to that stuff, like you're more dangerous to the left than I am when it comes to like Black Lives Matter and all of that propaganda. So.
Oh, definitely. That video I posted of Cardi B being exposed got a note on it saying that it violated Twitter's stuff. That video was growing fast. Like I looked at it like hundreds of views, like back to back. I'm like, holy crap, this is like the fastest view I've ever seen before. Like I just switched the screen and it was going up. And it stopped after I got that.
Was that the video you posted this morning of you saying something like of like Biden's going to have to vote for my sweet black ass, or something like what?
Oh, I didn't post that today. It may have popped up in your feed or something. Maybe someone liked it or retweeted it or something.
Yeah.
I posted that the same day. I made 3 videos that day. I posted that the same day he said you ain't black. That's when that video came from.
Oh,
the one I'm talking
okay.
about is Cardi B. She's wearing her sunglasses and a mask, and she's leaning forward, and you can see in her glasses she's reading notes.
Right, yeah.
And they flagged that video. And the funny thing is, I posted it before when my account was smaller. And it didn't get flagged when it was smaller. But I know. Because that was a threat. That video was it proved to me that I was right. That Mob Radio was right about them giving talking points to these celebrities, and Cardi B was really sloppy with how she did it. And they got exposed, and then my video being posted on my account's bigger, it's got more reach. It got a Twitter violation on it.
Yeah, I mean, it's real weird how celebrities are, being used now too, right? Because like when quarantine started, there was that whole celebrity, video with all the celebrities, singing Imagine, and everyone got annoyed. And now and now they just did like the the end racism, like video like
I take responsibility.
yeah, the I take responsibility. And I mean, you watch it and it's almost laughable. Um, and it's funny because again, going back to Joe Rogan, I listened to an interview that he did with two of the guys from The Sopranos, two of the cast members, and they were both saying, I don't know what their political affiliations are, but I think they're kind of conservative based on what they were saying because um, they were like, who do these actors think they are? Like, do they really think they're going to affect change just by like going on TV and saying this? Like, we're actors. It's our job to act and like whatnot, but we're not changing the world in that, in that way.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I think these actors are part of some kind of group because they're the same ones that are doing it. There's a part of that elite group, and I feel like they are coordinating together. They're on their Google Docs and they're working together on their talking points. The Cardi was looking at today. They're part of some kind of group together. They have an agreement. Oh, that's the other thing that I thought that Bernie. When I was saying Bernie, I think Bernie is secretly pretty bad person, deceiving people and stuff and using people. Because I pointed out too, like, okay, Bernie has AOC, right, Hispanic, and then we have Cardi B, Hispanic, both pandering to the Black community, both pro Bernie. And
what?
I think it's really strange. Cardi B has a live I have recorded somewhere where
Wait,
she's yelling at her fans. Huh?
wait. Cardi B is Hispanic.
Yes, yes. I have a video of her recording. She was on Ballad, BLAD, an interview with Cardi B. You can find on YouTube still. And there's a section on there where he asks her why she says the N word, and she's Hispanic, and she explains why she says it. She can't stop saying it. That's just like lingo. And then she's like, "What am I supposed to be considered? I'm Hispanic, And she started going into all that, and then she says she don't like dating Hispanic guys. She likes dating Black guys. Like she just been. This is before she blew up. I think this is around before Bodak Yellow blew up.
She is a stripper,
She
so
had said this, and it's funny they both came from that kind of like stripper and bar industry as well. Like they picked these people up and recruited them from these areas. They're most likely going to sell out. Cardi B was saying she was drugging and robbing men to get studio time. You don't think she's gonna take this puppet position?
Oh
Be
yeah.
famous? She was supposed she was supposed to knock out Nicki Minaj, and they had that Cardi B is the new queen of rap. Cardi B does not write her raps. Nicki Minaj does. Nicki Minaj is very talented, and I think it's so crazy. If Nicki, if you ever hear this, I think you're very talented, but I think that you should know that you have the same thing that happened to you is happening to Trump. I understand that she said that she's not jumping on the Trump hate train, but then she proceeded to praise Obama. Now she's not doing what Cardi's doing, but like they try to get rid of Nicki because Nicki thinks for herself for the most part, it seems. And if you think about it, Nicki was never really a partier in those groups in that crowd. They're probably like, she's up here with us with elite status, and she's not doing the things we want her to do. So they were trying to replace her with Cardi B. And do you see how that worked out? Nicki got 2 number ones this year, and she doesn't get played on the radio. She's blackballed or blacklisted, whatever you called it. They do not play her stuff on the radio. If she's featured on someone's song and she's on the end of it, you're not going to hear it on the radio. They cut it off.
Interesting. So I mean, I take it then too that you're a hip hop and rap fan then. some.
I like some people in that. I like some of their stuff. I when I worked out a lot, it's nice to work out and listen to that stuff. But
Oh, sure.
I I didn't actually really like hip hop and rap for a while anymore like that until like really get into it until Nicki came in the game because I didn't like female rappers. None of them. I didn't like women sound like men on there, and I didn't really care for always seeing them naked.
You're
And
you're you sexist.
And then she came in. She sounded like a woman. She was feminine. She was funny. She had the different voices, the personas. It was very creative, and she made me like it again and get into it and like pay attention and watch. But I like all kinds of music though. But I pay more attention to now because I'm seeing what they're doing to our Black community with that industry. Nicki's not perfect. Nicki felt like she was really helping push the whole transgender and the gay stuff. Initially, when she came out, she said she was gay. She acted like she was gay at first.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, but her compared to Cardi, they pushed her out for a more extreme, radical socialist left agenda. And Cardi was in her car ranting about how dirty New York City was, and they didn't fix the roads. My taxes are high. Cardi, they're Democrat. Why would you be promoting Bernie Sanders if those are your issues and concerns?
Yeah. Yeah, it's really sad what's happened to New York City because I've been there. I've been there 6 times in my entire life. The first time I went was actually right after 9/11, which was interesting in of itself. But my mom grew up in Connecticut in the 70s,
Mm.
so she and my aunt, when they were teenagers, they used to go into the city all the time. And if you like watch any old movies from like the 70s, or anything that like depict New York, like it's like a dirty like, place. Like my mom actually said that like she's kind of surprised that like she and my aunt never got raped or anything like that, just because like it used to be a dirty place. And then like Rudy Giuliani, when he was elected mayor, like he really helped clean that city up and like make it what we see today, like in media. But like I guess like from what I'm hearing now, because of COVID and because of the riots, like it's starting to go back to the gritty place it was. So
That's
um
sad.
so yeah.
I've actually been to New York. I went to New York City once. I've been to Buffalo. Different. Now, when I went to New York City, I was terrified. That's the reason why it took me so long. This was like maybe 5, 6 years ago. I was terrified to go because I watched Law and Order. I saw these TV shows. It's like
Uh,
crime. I thought if I went, I was gonna die.
oh,
The TV shows.
oh yeah, oh yeah. You're like me. You watch you watch Law and Order, and then like you get like super paranoid. So
Yeah, I think when I go to New York, I'm gonna die. So
that
that makes me not want to go there.
that's another thing that was like super weird, right? Was like they was like the left wanted to cancel Law and Order because it had cops in it, and
Mm.
it's like why? So
Yeah, it's pretty weird.
um
And I actually have never been to California. My birth mom actually lives out there, and um, I haven't been there. I have zero desire to go to California. I never have. So, and
I've
that wasn't because I was scared. It's just, I don't know, I just never really had the desire to go there.
I've been to I I went to San Francisco my freshman year of high school, which was like a long time ago, and it was like I thought it was a pretty cool place, but like then I guess that was before like it really got like dirty and whatnot. That was like about like 2009 or so. And then like I guess like my mom took me on like a business trip with her to Los Angeles when I was like a toddler or something like that, but I don't remember that. So
Well, I was my mom's stomach before in California. To be fair, I was in her stomach.
well
I was alive with me in my mom's stomach in
well
California.
well yeah my well yeah so that's a funny thing too because like I always like to say that like I'd love to go to Europe but I've never been and my mom always likes to joke that oh that's not true your father and I went to Europe when I was pregnant with you
I'm
so
happy about that. I actually never used to. I didn't really used to have the desire to really want to leave the country. I've never left, and definitely right now I don't want to. Um,
no
there's been so many places in this country that I haven't even been in yet. And you
it's
know what? The New York and California thing, that isn't like a political thing. This is before like all this is going on. Like I never really had a desire, and now as we're talking about it, I think it also has to do with the fact that their cost of living is so high, and their taxes and stuff are so high. I just don't like anything that takes people's money like that. So I tend to not want to go places. So I think it might have been the main reason why I never wanted to go to California.
yeah. Well, listen, I mean, California is like a beautiful state, but no one can afford to live there, anymore like legitimately unless you're homeless like
Mm-hmm.
you either have to be extremely poor or extremely rich to live there. And like so I mean it's basically people call it California and that's basically what it is now. So
Yeah. I have a question.
go
How do homeless people vote?
how do what
Homeless people vote. How
well
can they? They can't. They don't have to register and like where they live, the residence and everything, and have show evidence of where they live. So how can a homeless person who doesn't have residence vote? If they
that's particularly why the Democrats want to get rid of voter ID now is so that you don't is so that you don't have to live anywhere or have any ID to vote. So
gotcha, that makes sense. Because they probably like saying, "Hey, we're gonna not homeless people vote for us. We're gonna make sure you're able to."
yeah.
Because
Also in the chat, Near who is from NYC, he's a good friend of the show. Says Spanish people get an N-word pass in an NYC. So you know,
they get
like
anywhere past in NYC.
yeah, I guess Spanish people do. So I
In
mean,
general, they get to like not just there. It seems like any of them are allowed to say it for some reason, and then not get it. And then like people who are like, if you're not white, people are okay with you saying it for some reason.
what what's weird is that like I've I've actually been called that like affectionately, but like by my black by like my black friend. Like I can't even say the word right now because I would get flagged right by YouTube probably. But they say it
Yeah,
like but they say it with like hard R and everything, and like I'm always just like
it's called a hard R. That's weird.
yeah
I
and
had it with the A at the end when they like a friendship. The intent is like you're my brother, you're my friend. But
yeah I mean
but it's
I
hard R. It's weird.
yeah well I mean it is weird. So I mean, yeah. I mean, and like that's the other thing is like I don't really like hop either. I mean, I like some old school rap, but I don't like the new like gangster rap that's out there now. And because of that, like apparently I don't appreciate black culture. despite the fact that I love jazz, like that's my favorite genre of music and whatnot. So it's just, I mean,
But it's not good culture. It's not like culture. It's not the culture like that music genre. What they talk about, it's not something to praise. What do they talk about in those songs? You
right.
know, that's not something like that should be praised.
Why? I mean, we could have a whole podcast on this, but like, in short, why do you think that why do you think that culture is so highly praised in the black community, so to speak?
When you're coming up to be an artist, you know, you are told what sells and what doesn't sell, and who's in control of those industries. And gradually, it's gone there. Like I was thinking, like, man, I don't ever hear any R&B songs anymore. Talking about let's get married. I don't hear any of that no more.
Yeah,
And
you.
it's gradually been taken over and changed and flipped. And I mean, it's been going on for a while, but it's really bad now, right in your face. And it's who's ever running and controlling the music industry, the I guess theater, uh, entertainment, hip hop. I'm not hip hop. Movies, the movie industry. Whoever runs those things, they're in control. They're the ones who
Yeah.
decide as a business what's pushed and what they want pushed. So that's why someone like Cardi B is pushed. She wasn't really that popular. The
y-
media told us she was popular,
yeah, I
and
mean,
she was pushed. Opposed to all well, the other people who have more. There's other women who are rappers who have a better positive message. That doesn't sell. It could sell. You just that's not the message you want to push.
well, I mean, to be fair, Twitter does the same thing with commentators on Twitter. Like you'll see all these blue check marks on Twitter who are like clearly left wing activist journalists, and like they have like they have less followers than you and I both do, and yet they're somehow verified as like official Twitter users or whatever. So
I I was thinking that too. I was like, oh, it's interesting because I did make a post about it. I post about a lot of those things, don't I? Wait, are you going to my Twitter feed? Just kidding.
no,
I
no,
was saying it's funny that Kingface, Bryson Gray, Brandon Tatum, Anthony Bryan Logan, um, I think David Harris Jr. and I think I'm forgetting another person. Oh, the Montego. Am I saying something? Montega? Montego? The guy running against AOC. Um, they don't have blue check marks. All of them. How?
and what's weird is like I don't know if you know this, but the original purpose of the blue check mark was basically so that anyone who was like a public figure could like verify that it was actually them, because like so many people would make like parody accounts and whatnot. So
Mm-hmm.
like the blue check mark initially existed as like a way to verify that someone was like real and whatnot. Well, now they've made like the blue check like so exclusive that like it doesn't really matter anymore. So
Yeah. And I think that didn't they have like the verification process, how like your phone number and your address and stuff too, or something like that?
yeah, I mean that used to be.
I don't think I would want Twitter to know where I live right now. So
I guess they've started doing the same thing with like Facebook too, where I guess in order to use Facebook now, like some people are having to like like take a picture of their driver's license and whatnot. Like screw that. I don't want Facebook having a picture of my driver's license.
oh, like just to be on Facebook still,
Yeah, I
or just
yeah, I guess.
how that?
Yeah, I guess just to like be on Facebook or something. So
Because on a Parlor, I did their verification thing because I didn't
yeah,
send you that to Doni, but I
yes,
did there.
So did I, but like, but they say they delete it like right after. So like,
Yeah, I think I read that too. That's another reason why.
and like Facebook, they never say anything about that. So, but
Hmm. Well, I'll see how long I get to keep my Facebook account then, 'cause I'm not doing that.
I'm curious to see how long you keep your Twitter account for
Don't
until.
jinx me.
Well, but Donnie, listen to me very carefully. You have a very unique perspective, here, because if you wanted to, if Twitter tries to ban you, okay, here's what you could do. You could claim that Twitter is racist against you because you're black, and
Hmm.
you can also claim that Twitter is sexist because you're a woman too. So and
Oh yeah.
they're all down for like like for black and and for women. So why not both? So
Yeah, you know what? Because I would say, well, they took out Candace's page. I guess she's taking matters in her hands with that. And did they just recently take down what's his name? Wayne Dupree. What's his name? Uh,
Wayne Dupree. So
Mhm.
yeah, he
Zach. So,
yeah. I mean it's weird. Well, now there's some liberal group that wants to take Rogan out too, or down, because Rogan said the N word in like one of his comedy specials, like a while ago, and he was like actually doing like a joke about the N word itself. So
I mean, Tekashi 6ix9ine got to say the N word a lot in his songs.
yeah, but that's different according to the left. So um, I'll, I'll
Hmm.
I'll tell you why they're after Rogan, because Rogan interviews conservatives, like he interviews everybody, and you can't have that. So they don't want discourse among people. The left wants complete and total compliance. So
Yeah. Well, I need someone to invent this meme or GIF. I don't know if you can do it or not, but like a small clip of where Takashi. I don't know if you saw his video or not, because he's kind of making fun of himself in the video because they were calling him a rat, a snitch. So he's like, "You're mad, I'm back," and he starts going, "Ha ha, ha ha," and then a rat face goes on his face, right? I think it'd be hilarious if there's a voiceover that was like, "You're mad, Donald's president, ha ha," and Trump's face goes over to Takashi's face. I think that'd be hilarious. I want to see that so bad. You're
yes,
mad. Trump's president. Aha, aha, aha. I think that'd be awesome.
well, we do have a couple of talented people who likes to clip stuff and whatnot. So I actually have to admit I kind of lost my temper a few weeks ago and actually like screamed at some liberal who was saying something idiotic, and I was mad. So I screamed into the mic, and I guess that like now someone is like trying to do like a heavy metal like a remix of that or something. So I don't know. I have to watch what I say, otherwise I'll get memed. So um,
That's funny. We're gonna we're gonna have to get someone to make that meme for me ASAP so we can get it going because it's gonna be awesome.
yeah. Now I do have one kind of fun question. How many guys do you have hitting on you on Twitter at any given time? Has that happened to you yet?
I don't know, not at all. um,
Uh-oh, damn it, I might have just jinxed you. So hopefully,
no, I I think it's like, it's okay. I'm actually really weird about getting hit on, actually. Like, I've always been like that. Like, if someone comes to me and is like flirting, even if I'm attracted to them, I'm always like, I feel like weird. Like, I get anxiety or something. I don't know why, but it's always been like that.
Well,
When I know someone's hitting on me, I'm like, oh. And then it doesn't matter if I like them or not. I get that feeling.
well, I'm glad to know I'm not alone. I'm glad I'm not to know I'm alone in that. I'm horrible at that. So, but
Yeah, you should see me flirt too. It's bad. And the only
yeah,
time that happens is if I'm tipsy.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's weird. This whole this whole like internet celebrity dating among conservatives is weird too. So I don't
Oh,
know.
that's the thing.
Oh yeah. There's lots of spicy drama with all that. So um,
Oh, that's awesome. Good for them.
well, it's
I have zero prospects, so I don't. Good luck with people.
well it,
I
it
don't know how to do
well sometimes it's interesting. Sometimes it's a train wreck. Let's just put it that way. So
it. Maybe I'll have to. mm, I don't know. I feel like I'm like kind of private in a sense, even though we're doing all this talking. I feel like it'd be a long time until I said I was dating someone because just in case like they could be using me or I gotta make sure that they're legit. And like then I'm trying to protect them too. Like someone's trying to hurt them or something.
yeah, totally. So
But one day we can find our significant others.
yeah, that it's. I'll tell you what. It is hard being like politics is one thing that I do try and like keep out of dating, right? But at the same time, like I'm not exactly secret about like who I am either. So like if you go on my Instagram, like even on my personal one, like I don't post too much MAGA stuff on there, but like I use it to promote the podcast, so like it's on there a little bit. And like if you search my name, obviously you'll find the podcast and whatnot. And it's been like really interesting because like some like because like some people I've gone on dates with, they don't care, and others just like you know have like a fit over it. So it's strange. So
Yeah, I agree. It's really hard actually. Like if I go and date with somebody, actually, say what I'm not in a site anymore. But like if I'm on a site or something, you have to be. I filter it out for a conservative. Like you have to be conservative. Like I'm different with that, and I think it's more so because like the morals and values line up a little easier. And I like talking about politics. I don't want to date somebody if I can't talk about it. And they're like, "Oh, go away! I'm tired of hearing this." Like, so
me,
I bring it up because it's like people call it a hobby, but it's something important to me.
yeah, I hate that too. Like when people are like, oh, so so that radio show, like, how's your hobby going? Like it's like no, it's more than a hobby. Like it's not my full time job, but it's like it's kind of a side gig at this point, and
Yeah, you're an entrepreneur. What are you talking about?
and and also it's like it's like like I do have hobbies, but they don't involve getting on the radio and like commentating on politics. Like yeah, I have fun with this, but this isn't exactly like what I choose to do like as a fun hobby. So you know, but
I
anyway,
got you.
yeah. So
And then like I know people are like Oh, this dating segment. This is good. I think we should make one. We should do a dating segment discussion. People care about that stuff.
I I I
Uh,
I bet we'll get a lot of interesting like callers like I
ooh,
or
2 weeks. Not this Friday, not this Saturday, but next Saturday. Maybe we can do that.
that would be interesting. So well, I mean I know that Sean has a girlfriend, and I also know that and I also know that well. I don't know what I don't know what Puffy Phil is up to. He's kind of a troublemaker. So
No, not him. No way.
uh-huh. So um at any rate though, we're actually kind of we went over our time a little bit. It's like we're at 2 hours and 30 minutes. So uh
Yeah, we've been on here. Um, I will have to come back. This has been fun.
yeah, for sure. I mean, any final thoughts or comments you want to bring up? Where can people find you out at and all that jazz?
On all my platforms is Donnie the Don. And I would like for everyone who's listening, if you can, purchase little Constitution pamphlets, knock on people's doors, and ask them, "Do you know what the Constitution is?" And then if they say no, great, let's talk. If they say yes, great, here, great, let's talk. That's what I want. I'm gonna
Yeah,
start doing it.
yeah. I mean, I do that all the time. Just like hey man, like, what do you like about being in America? And sometimes they say, oh well, I don't like being in America, and when we start talking about that, so I think that's another thing too is we have to start talking to people too, which is I mean that's partially why I like doing podcasts too is just chatting with people casually like we've done here tonight. So, but
Yeah.
yeah,
And then it's kind of like they knock on your door and they ask you, "Do you know who Jesus is? So, do you know what the Constitution is?"
yeah, totally. So. All right, Donnie. Well, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate you, giving your time, and coming on the show. And you're really growing, and I'm honored to know you, and you're doing great work. So keep it up, and I'm proud that we're kind of like partnered up with the whole Versa Media thing, and you're doing awesome work. So thank you.
Same to you guys and you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
So, all right, Donnie. Well, we'll talk at you down the road, and folks, I want to thank you all so very much for tuning in and for joining me tonight on the Whitfield Report. I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in, whether you're listening live or watching live, or on the audio podcast. And I will be back Saturday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. Until then, God bless America, God save this great nation, God, freedom, legacy, in that order, and I will see you all on Saturday evening for the live show. God bless and good night.